Hello again and welcome back to the Vinyl Brotherhood, where we like to kick back, take it easy, and just chat about music, whether it be the latest and greatest new releases or old favorites from days gone by. It's so nice to have you. Today's selection is the latest album by psych pop group Mild High Club. I've been really looking forward to this and I can't wait to go over this album with you guys, so let's get right to it. Thanks for joining us again, folks. I'm doing well, thanks for asking. I've been a little busy at work, but how could I not swing by the Vinyl Brotherhood and talk about Mild High Club? Now let me tell you about how I first came to experience Mild High Club. I became familiarized with them through their joint project, Sketches of Brunswick East, where they collaborated with King Gizzard and the Lizard Wizard. At the time, I couldn't really tell how much of the album was them and how much was King Gizzard, but it's an album that I warmed up to really quickly. And sometime later, a bandmate of mine told me to check out the second album by Mild High Club titled Skip Tracing. And wow, it was love at first listen for me. The melodies, the adventurous production choices, and easygoing vibes of Skip Tracing really resonated with me. So much so that it quickly became a personal favorite for the year that it was released, which I think was 2016. And I couldn't wait to see what was next for Alexander Breton and his Mild High Club. Fast forward a couple years and here we are. Going, Gone is here, and surprisingly, I was unaware of its September 2021 release until a few weeks ago. Please excuse me for living under a rock. Anyway, I think it's high time we take this dude to the turntable and give it a little spin before we start our analysis. Okay, first things first, album artwork. I'm loving this color palette. I don't think that this is anything specific. I think it's just purely abstract. Correct me if I'm wrong, but I'm really digging it. The bold choice of Times New Roman. I don't know what that is either. Let's talk about Going, Gone. Mild High Club is ultimately a psychedelic pop band at their core, but it would be a huge disservice to them to describe them as such and then just leave it at that. They quite effortlessly fuse an interesting variety of genres and sounds, including but not limited to jazz, funk, classic pop, R&B, and exotica, among others. And all of it melts together very well to construct a very original brand of neo-psychedelic pop. On this, the third album by Alex & Co., they're pushing the sound from skip tracing to even farther reaches of popdom. And it seems to me like the philosophy on Going, Gone is something like throw everything at the wall and see what sticks. For example, there's an impressive assortment of instruments at play here. We've got saxophones, accordions, all kinds of keyboards and percussion, not to mention that the mixing board is doing quite a bit of the heavy lifting on this record. But let's really get into these songs before I reveal too much more. Nearly half of the tracks on this record are under 2 minutes in length and often just serve as segues from one stronger musical idea to the next. And it makes for a fun listening experience, and this is the way the album starts out, with Clujas 1 leading into Dionysian State, which I felt was a little reminiscent of 70s pop music. And I'm really digging the keyboard riffs there. And I also really appreciate the soul and bossa nova experimentation on Trash Heap, the second track, as well as the lyric about nachos with extra queso. Not what I typically expect going into an album, but I'm here for it. The warping and modulation of the vocal track on the otherwise relatively uneventful song Taste Tomorrow feels very at home on a Mild High Club recording. And that's the kind of sonic experimentation that we're used to from this group, and luckily, this only scratches the surface. Why, on the following track, A New High, they even feature a brief appearance by a honky-tonk piano, as well as a Brazilian female vocalist known as Winter apparently, providing a smooth and breezy vocal contribution. Not to just drop a bunch of spoilers on you all, there are plenty of surprises throughout, it's just really hard not to talk about them. We have all sorts of very fine performances throughout the length of Going, Going, Gone, and it would be my pleasure to highlight a few of them. I've always been an advocate for a well-executed saxophone solo, and we get treated to one towards the end of the Dionysian State, track 1. And another favorite moment is a strange sporadic piano towards the end of Clujes 2. You can just tell that they're having a lot of fun, and these various musical diversions come across as really like improvised, which I'm all about. A lot of musical passages on the album just feel really in the moment, and as I was listening, it made me think that these tunes must be really neat to experience in a live setting. And unfortunately, not every extended musical sequence is quite as memorable, especially towards the third quarter of the album. It gets a tad fillerish in some areas, and I couldn't help but think that they mostly served as a way to do some flexing on the mixing board, or simply just as padding, because this is a pretty short record after all. I'm mostly referring to I Don't Mind the Wait and Dawn Patrol. Feel free to disagree with me. Thankfully, the album kind of picks up again towards the end with a couple of solid jams such as Waiting, followed immediately by Me, Myself, and Dollar Hell. In my humble opinion, these songs are the most memorable on the record and feature some really solid melodies worthy of anyone's Mild High Club playlist. It could just be that I'm a normie and I need all of my songs to include catchy choruses and 4/4 rhythms. That's actually not true. I just think that these songs are just much more fully realized and successful in their own way. Okay, so allow me to summarize my thoughts on this record now that we've arrived at the end-ish. This album features a Clujes 1 and a Clujes 2, these two little interludes. Wikipedia defines a kludge as a workaround or quick and dirty solution that is clumsy, inelegant, inefficient, difficult to extend, and hard to maintain. That's interesting. In regards to making pop albums, kludging something together might be a better idea on paper than in execution. As a purely oral endeavor, Going, Going, Gone is loads of fun and there's plenty to dig into once you've got the headphones on, but I do wonder if you strip these songs of all the bells and whistles and the production magic, would there be quite as much value there? I don't know. The album's songs do feel a little slight and inconsequential at times, at least in comparison to the songs on Skip Tracing. The brief runtime doesn't really alleviate those concerns either. And the album, it goes by quick. And in truth, I don't mind them showing off, but the songs would be more memorable if there was perhaps more to chew on from the fundamental writing perspective. The last song, Holding On To Me, feels like it's really going somewhere once the vocals kick in, and then it doesn't. It kind of just drops out somewhat prematurely, and I felt cheated out of some of that Mild High Club magic. And honestly, that wasn't the first time I felt that way in the half hour, but I can tell I'm starting to ramble a little bit, so maybe we should just head back to the couch and call it a day. I really hate to say it, but I can't help but feel a tad let down by this album. I've been looking forward to it for a couple of years, but after some time, it doesn't really leave much of an impression on me. And it's such a shame. I had really loved Skip Tracing so much, and that's a pretty short record as well, and yet I had walked away very much satisfied. Like I said, it's one of my 2016 favorites. Alexander Breton is clearly a genuine talent, and his creativity and skill is on full display here, and it's really not all negative. There's certainly a time and a place for Going, Going, Gone. Personally, I think it'd make an excellent soundtrack for when I need to wash the dishes, but outside of that, I can't help but feel sort of a missed opportunity. And for that, I can only score Mild High Club's new album a mere 6 out of 10. Yeah, I know, it hurts to say it out loud. There are plenty of fun ideas all over this album, but unfortunately, not enough meat to really sink my teeth into. An album with this much creative force behind it should really be more memorable, but if I may, I'd like to recommend that you give it at least one listen. Who knows, maybe you'll even enjoy it more than I did. And on that note, I think we can go ahead and say our farewells. What did you all think of Going, Going, Gone? Will you agree with my assessment? Perhaps someone out there vehemently disagrees. I don't know. We'd love to hear from you all, so be sure to do all the typical YouTube stuff down below. Sound good? Okay, well, have a good one, folks, and we'll see you back here again very soon at the Vinyl Brotherhood.